gentlemen, turn your speakers up. It's time for the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Turn up the bass. A podcast discussing all things AEW and WWE. Oh yeah! Let's meet the hosts. First, a man hailing from the hub city in Indiana. He goes by @TooSweetKyle on Twitter. The host, Kyle Gagliardi. And her co-host, hailing from the valley of Lake Tahoe. He goes by @JimTuck89 on Twitter. Jim Tucker. And last but not least, hailing from the cornfield somewhere in Indiana, the full-time part-timer, Ian Garavaglia. Turn up the bass. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram @PodOnTheMark.
What is going on, everyone? You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks, and I am your host, Mr. OTM Kyle Gagliardi. And my co-host this evening, or I should say, as usual, my good friend, Ian Garavaglia. Ian, what's up, dog?
Hey, you say his name and he appears. I believe in Ian Garavaglia, not Joe Hendry. I do believe in Joe Hendry, though. But for right now, I believe in Ian Garavaglia, which is myself. I am back again. Just got back from coaching baseball, but here to talk wrestling. This draft, I can't wait to bash it because I'm sure we share a lot of common thoughts with this draft. So ready to talk about it, ready to talk about WWE.
Yeah, another exciting week. I mean, I know we're not going to talk about AEW, but I thought AEW Dynamite as a whole was a very strong show last night. You know, the ending was great once again. By chance, did you get a chance to check it out?
It was a lot of looking through clips. Obviously, you know, we played wiffle ball yesterday. I got home and probably cashed out 30 minutes after I got home. It was a quick night for me, but no, I did not watch the full show. I did watch clips, and I watched what I needed to watch.
That's fair. So you know what's going on in the stories for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Kyne's back in the chat. He said, I see you both turned into Joe Hendry believers despite saying you don't watch TNA about 2 weeks ago. We do not watch TNA still. Joe Hendry just taken off on TikTok, and it's catchy, and, you know, he's getting over, and it's good to see, Ian.
It's beautiful because you could tell he genuinely enjoys all of this. And I went back and watched a compilation of all of his music videos. I was talking to you about it before the stream started.
Yeah.
If you guys have a chance to look up his old music videos he would cut promos with in TNA, hilarious. That man he can make comedy gold out of anything.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check it out because there's not any wrestling that I watch tonight. I know Eric said in the comment section somewhere that he's watching TNA right now, but he's also watching us because he is the reigning, defending MVM of the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. And Ian, if they don't know what MVM is, why don't you explain to our listeners what the MVM title represents?
So it really represents what the core of OTM really stands for. We are here to talk wrestling, but not just between us two. It's to talk wrestling with you guys at home, whoever's watching, wherever you're watching, commenting. We read everything. Every comment is just on the side of my screen right here. You'll see us veer off every now and then looking at comments. We read it all. And yeah, RIP Veer. And we do. That's basically what it is. Whoever could give us the best quality comments or the funniest, that's usually what I go for. So if you want to be funny, that's usually getting my vote. Get over on our podcast and you will be champion by the end of the show.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's all about. Kyne said he's been watching Joe Hendry since the indie scenes. So happy to see his hard work pay off, and he's finally blowing up. Wait, Kyne got dethroned, Tino asked.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row.
Has gotten dethroned by Mr. Eric Douglas himself. So should be a very competitive matchup for the MVM. But before we get into all things WWE, we got to hit the plugs. And of course, this week/weekend, if you use promo code Backlash, LASC or LASH. There we go. I don't know why I was adding a C to that. That's not how you spell Backlash, people. Trust me, I know how to spell it. But you can go support the show at the OnTheMarkWrestlingPodcast.com. Use that promo code. Take advantage of it because we only do it during PLE weeks. And also, you saw Tino's Time in the comment section. Tino's Time is one of the many people that are a part of the Main Event Wrestling Network, a group of content creators coming together, no tribalism whatsoever, at mainevent_net on all the socials. And Ian, we have some big news. For the very first time in our network's history, we are going to be sponsoring an independent wrestling show. So if you go to X and follow at Wrestlers Lab, they have Oh My Glob happening later this May. If you haven't seen the card already, we have been sharing it on our socials. But once again, a tremendous opportunity for not just us here at OTM, but for the network as a whole. And I'm very proud to say that we are sponsoring their upcoming show.
My favorite thing about it is Oh My Glob. As soon as I read it, I'm like, that sounds familiar. Why does that sound familiar? It's based off Adventure Time. Like the entire theme of the card, if you watched Adventure Time on Cartoon Network back in the day, that's what it's based off of, and it's hilarious. I'm very much looking forward to watching as much as I can. So I'm excited. It's a big step for us, and hopefully it leads to more ventures in the future.
Yeah, so you see their handle right there. I believe it's the same on Instagram as well. The video editing work that they are doing to hype up the show.
Mm-hmm.
A name that probably everybody knows, Speedball Mike Bailey, will be participating in this event amongst many other talented individuals. So get ready for that because I know for sure everybody at the Main Event Network will be checking out that show later this May. But the comment section is already blowing up, so we might as well show some love to our friends. Dirk Vogus in the house, DV. I like that, Ian.
DV. I like that. Mix it up a little bit. Father DV, Papa DV. We could find something there.
We can workshop that for sure. Eric Douglas is going to Backlash. That's awesome, Eric. I'm curious where you live because I believe this is happening in France, correct? Backlash?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think they're over there. They're overseas doing a lot of house shows, so I don't know exactly where it's taking place, but I believe it's definitely taking place in France. But thoughts on WWE only selling combo tickets for Clash at the Castle? The lowest price he saw was £400. I believe that's nosebleeds. WWE ripping off their UK fans. Mania could be thousands, for fuck's sake. Ian, they got to pay the bills to travel. You know, I understand.
There's that, and it's also, I mean, not to throw that. I mean, I get it. UK has gotten the back end of the stick for a long time, especially with wrestling in general. So I get the hate, but I mean, yeah, they got to pay the bills. They got to pay for the venue. I'm sure they got to pay for some traveling expenses.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's very rare occasion.
Once a year opportunity. That's why it's so pricey.
Yeah, kind of. And I'll try to gold leaf it on the top here. This means that there's more to come. I'm sure the more they come back, the more they're going to have sponsors in the city, in the town, in the country. It'll get cheaper over time. But yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry.
His sake. Yeah, it sucks when you can't afford a wrestling show, especially when they rarely come to your area because obviously they're spending most of their times in the U.S. where we live. And Eric lives in the U.S. He's traveling from Houston. He leaves tomorrow morning. That's impressive.
That's dedication. Dedication.
That's an MVM right there. Dirk Focus says, "Hey Kyle, no alcohol tonight. I saw you tipping a bottle of water." Ian, you can attest to this. I rarely ever drink out of bottle.
No, that is why I'm here. I'm no brands here. I'm the drinker of the podcast. I got that covered. Don't worry.
You are the alcoholic of OTM. I guess we could say we have a dad. You got me, and you got Ian. Eric Douglas is surprised to see that Becky is not defending her title on Saturday. Yeah, they're keeping the card relatively short, but we'll get to our Backlash talk after we talk about the WWE Draft. And, of course, the Great Brown Hope from the Main Event Wrestling Network says, "We out here." Yes, sir, we definitely are. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. But I say we get into it then. Let's get to what happened these past couple weeks with the WWE Draft. Before I get into, who switched brands, I want to get your overall take on the presentation. Just the presentation only, how they did it with the War Rooms, bringing in Hall of Famers. I know you're a Bully Ray fan, so he appeared twice during this, so that had to make you happy.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy with SmackDown. I thought SmackDown's was pretty good, and then they used the same legends, but they mixed it up so that they were with their tag team partner on Raw. I was like, okay, this is cool. And I like Bully Ray. I love the Dudley Boys. It was it felt like the same thing all year. And I don't know if it's just me. I hate the War Room thing. That's diving too much into believe what we're selling.
It's
And it's
sport.
like it's diving way too much to it's I don't know. I have a it gives me the ick. I can't explain why I hate it, but I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, Dirk makes a solid point. The presenters were better than the draft itself. And,
Yeah.
going in with the War Room type of thing, it makes sense with TKO. And I believe they've done it before when they made their move to Fox about 5 years ago, where they showed the War Room and whatnot. But, yeah, I mean, overall, I think the WWE draft, a lot of people hype it up. They do their mock drafts. We specifically did not do one just because it's the WWE. It's hard to predict what they're going to do here. They have the pencil. They can do whatever they want there. But, yeah. Underwhelming as a whole, but I thought the presentation was solid. It was okay, but the draft formula is a little confusing to me. They kind of bounce around. I don't know.
Another thing I hated, it's the tiniest detail, but it was something I could not look past. SmackDown, they would say round 1, round 2, round 3 of the draft. Move over to Raw, then it was round 1, round 2, round 3 of the same draft. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Nope. That's a small, really small detail, but it pissed me off so much, more than it should have.
Another thing that Tino's pointing out here, he said his biggest thing was them lying about NXT being involved and did nothing.
Yeah.
I thought, and I think this is the way Tino's probably interpreting it, and you might have as well, that NXT was actually drafting.
Yeah.
Not just getting the call-ups that we always see.
It makes them feel like the feeder system, which they are. They are the feeder system, but a lot of fans see NXT as a third brand. But I mean, they're a farm system. I did like the presentation. That was my favorite part with seeing, like, from what I've heard, those people that got drafted, a lot of them were surprises. I think Dijak was the only one that wasn't a surprise, which I thought was pretty cool. You're getting their genuine
reactions. Yeah, all the women's reactions seemed genuine. Blair Davenport was breaking down in tears when she got drafted to SmackDown. So let's talk about it. Let's break it down here. Tino actually gave us a good one. Let's be real here. Dijak was the last pick and maybe the best. I'm very excited to see what Dijak's going to be able to do on the main roster this time around, because now he has at least an established character in this online persona. I think he could succeed on Monday Night Raw.
I agree, yeah, and I liked his promo that he cut. It was saying Retribution's done. I don't know if it was an on-air. It might have been after just an online exclusive Twitter thing. And he said, Retribution's done. My whole character was done. T-Bar, I think. Yeah, T-Bar is dead. It's Dijak now. I thought that was cool. It's moving on. I am excited to see where he goes, but again, it falls into that category of he's got to fall within a faction, because breaking in solo is very difficult right now in the current environment.
I don't know, the way that he's been presented and the way he's been delivering on all the NXT PLEs, I think he could definitely succeed as a single star.
I could see him partnering with Drew McIntyre.
Maybe. I mean, that's something. I don't know where you connect those dots. But...
Well, Twitter Warriors, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Warriors make sense. Scottish Warriors, Twitter Warriors. Yeah, your dad's in the chat, Mr. The podcast dad himself. Shouldn't call him Mr. There's a lot of Mr. monikers here at the Main Event Wrestling Network, so I get those mixed up. Sorry, guys. There's a lot of comments here, and I don't have time to pull up them all. Great Brown Hope says, Dijak as Dominic's muscle. It's coming. What do you think about that potential?
I think Dominic, I with his injury right now, it's going to be a while for him to be in action. I think he's kind of in that zone of he could do backstage promos and see where his next faction is going as Judgment Day is breaking down. That's where it's at right now with the story. I like the idea. Yeah, and he's hurt, which I don't know how much is kayfabe, how much is real. So I like the idea, obviously.
Dom could use a big guy heater. That would be pretty fun. I would not hate that whatsoever. But yeah, Ian, let's break down some of the main names that switch sides, because a lot of picks, and my biggest complaint with the WWE draft was kind of all stayed the same. And I think they kind of handicapped themselves by initially stating that the champions are staying where they're currently at. Like, that's some of your biggest talent. I mean, Cody Rhodes, the guy that finished the story, can't move because he's representing SmackDown as the champion. The tag team champions can't move. And I think that put them in a tough spot, but we still didn't see much movement from side to side. But regardless, here's some of the fresh faces on Monday Night Raw. You have Damage Control making the jump over to Raw. I think that's good for them. because I feel like Io Sky has kind of feuded with everybody on the SmackDown roster. And let's be honest, Raw is enough 1 hour more than SmackDown, so a faction moving over to Raw, I think they can do good things.
I agree, but you'll get more into these picks, and I have not. I don't know if it's an issue necessarily, but it's something to note. The amount of factions that are going over to Raw, I think there's at least 4 or 5 going to Raw or staying.
Yeah, while we're on that topic, LWO and Final Testament are also going to Monday Night Raw.
And Judgment Day is staying.
Yeah.
I think that might have been it. So that's 4 at least big factions right there in
War Games.
It has to be. I mean, unless how many are you going to break down? I think Damage Control can break down. Or
LWO seems to be crumbling before our eyes.
Judgment Day is breaking down. So it's a lot of who knows what's going to happen. It could get clustered at times. And they've done very well with the faction play. I think they have extremely well. It's utilizing a lot of people like JD McDonough. Where would JD McDonough be without Judgment Day?
On WWE Speed, which, by the way, there was a question by Kine. I haven't been here in a while, but what do you guys think of WWE Speed? Ian, have you checked it out? Kine's not enjoying it.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not watched it. Sorry, I'm not saying he didn't enjoy it.
I've been watching it every Wednesday, and it's like cool, I guess.
For what it is.
It feels like an experiment on what their Twitter game and social media game could be like and what they could move into. It's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah.
The test run.
Yeah, for sure. Kine says, pretty weird how Carlito got drafted with the LWO. Yeah, that was a little confusing.
That's another thing too, is I hate how an entire faction could just be one pick. I hate that. Yeah. Why is that a thing?
I want to see tag teams and factions split because of this.
Yes.
That would be more exciting.
Absolutely.
And how many times do we have to say it on this podcast? Split up Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins and give Montez Ford that singles run. We want it. We're probably never going to get it.
I want to see Angelo Dawkins have a heel run, mainly.
Yeah.
I think he has something there. He doesn't catch up with Montez Ford in the face side. Montez is a face made for WWE.
Yeah, for sure. And Eric says Bloodline Civil War games incoming this year. Yeah, that feels inevitable with the story that they're telling. Tino goes on to say, I think Final Testament, Natty, Ivar should have went to NXT. Maybe Nakamura too. I don't disagree with him. I think those guys would benefit from an NXT run.
I do like the change for Nakamura. I think he's one of those guys that is going to fare well. He needs a fresh restart, and especially I would have liked it more if he went down to NXT especially with all the call ups and the draft happening, bringing up like Ilya. I think Nakamura could flourish there. But this is also a fresh start, and we've seen this many times with Nakamura. He's trying to find his ground and where he could stand. He's always been he's
a good hand.
It's a good way of putting it. I mean, he's probably going to lose, but it's going to be a good match, and he's so lethal in the ring that it's fun to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know what's the next step for Shinsuke Nakamura. I think he gets lost in the shuffle with all those people coming in, including some of the NXT call-ups that we got to see. The Mad Dragon himself, Ilya Dragunov's going to be making his way to Monday Night Raw, which of course could set up another matchup with Gunther. We know the history there with those guys, but there's a lot of other people on that roster that I could see Ilya matching up against. That's going to be very exciting. And then you have Lyra Valkyria, the former NXT Women's Champion. In my opinion, might have been a little too soon because I believe Lyra made her debut in 2022. So here we are 2 years later. She gets one run with the NXT title. Maybe I'm just being skeptic, but I think I would have kept Lyra in NXT for a little longer.
NXT has a lot of women right now, and maybe they saw something in her that was like, okay, you could move up and sit in the background, learn there. I think because she has it. Obviously, she was a quick learner, and she's been putting on incredible matches. Maybe they saw something in her. That's probably what it is. I just don't know where she goes.
Yeah, that's where I question things. It's like, man, where does she fit right now on Monday Night Raw? And that's when I think maybe a women's mid-card title would be beneficial to someone like a Lyra Valkyria. But you also got another shock call-up with Kiana James. I know you're not too familiar with her. Her character works pretty strong in NXT. Another surprising call-up in my opinion, but I think she's got high upside. And some other names that made the jump on over to Monday Night Raw. You have New Catch Republic kind of like a swap or a trade of sorts with DIY. And then you have Braun Breaker, which another thing that kind of bugged me is Braun Breaker signed a contract literally 3 weeks ago or whatever it was to Friday Night SmackDown. And now he's getting drafted to Monday Night Raw. So what do we do? Just rip up that contract? That's it?
I don't know. I have no idea. I did like during this Raw, we saw Braun Breaker and Sheamus in backstage segment when Drew McIntyre passed by. Could be hinting at something. Probably isn't, but it could be hinting at something. Hopefully I was going to ask, do we know what the King of the Ring matches are at the moment? Do we know where that tournament stands? No.
Not
okay.
to my knowledge. But Ilya should be in it.
That's what I was about to say.
Braun.
That Ilya and Braun. Yes. Thank you. I put Ilya and Gunther in the finals for King of the Ring. Please.
Ooh,
please.
Come on now. I don't know who goes over in that situation, though, because you can make a compelling case for either of those guys.
Give it to Gunther. Get a feud with Ilya and Gunther. There you go. Bingo bongo.
The Raw future matchups that we have, and even Braun Strowman now a part of Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
There's some exciting things that they could cook up there on the Red brand, so I'm very excited. But I did not know this. Eric Douglas says that Lyra was a part of NXT UK, so she has been around for a little bit, so maybe that makes a little bit more sense. Your podcast dad says Liv goes after Lyra, forcing Becky's hand because Lyra and Becky have that connection. That's
good job, Dad. I like that one.
Yeah, and Tina says, I think if Cora Jade wasn't hurt, she takes that spot. Yeah, I completely agree with that one, Tino. Kind said, yeah, Kyle, did you not know how contracts work in WWE? Just means you tear it up and do whatever. It'll probably be a week or two before a Raw guy is on SmackDown and vice versa. And that's another thing. You do the WWE drafts, but they're still going to do the cross-promotional shit. They always do it.
Yeah, they do. I'm not sure. I don't have... My main thing with this draft was just it felt like a filler. But another thing I do want to point out, this is the first draft under the Triple H era. So anybody coming up from NXT, he has a plan with. I don't think he's going to go into the come on up, sure, go sit in catering for a while. I don't think it's like that. There will be something for everybody. Obviously, we don't know the timetable on anything, but I don't think Triple H is going to leave any NXT talent hanging, especially with Shawn Michaels in charge of NXT. Because that's just a slap in the face.
Yeah, it's a good point. But let's not forget that Raw drafted Odyssey Jones. They drafted him last year, too, and we still haven't seen Odyssey Jones. So you probably don't even know who that is.
I have no... I heard that name get brought up, and I no clue who that is.
And we just got an exclusive in the comments. Kine has declared for King of the Ring, and I'm sure he will be eliminated very quick by Gunther. Because that's the matchup I at least want to see. When is King and Queen of the Ring? That's a good question.
It's a pay-per-view. It's its own pay-per-view. I don't know when it is.
No, he said when is it?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, I don't know either. Triple H ain't doing what they did to Cameron Grimes. He's going to call these big guys up and push them, kind of like what you were saying. So Kind's in agreement with you there. Tino said, did you guys see that Green is facing Perez next week on NXT? Yes. And I'm very excited for Chelsea Green to become the new NXT Women's Champion. Let's do it, Ian.
I don't know if that one's going to happen.
Probably not. But Chelsea's entertaining.
She is. And that she knows her role. I don't think she has any intentions on, I'm a dominating champion.
She's entertaining.
Exactly.
She's taken after her husband, Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, whatever you want to call him.
Whoa. Who's that?
Podcast dad, just like Vera Jones is coming to Raw. He got lost. GPS definitely was not working there. And we have from your podcast, Dad, King of the Ring is on the Saudi show.
Yes.
That's probably a good thing for them. Just a tournament. It's easy to tell.
The European fans are right there. It's going to be Gunther in that finals match. There's no way it's not.
Yeah, I agree. Kind said I did do the Chelsea Green intro. Chelsea Green, something like that. Sorry. I know that's going to hurt a lot of people's ears that are listening back at a later date, but let's move over to SmackDown. Speaking of Chelsea Green, her and Piper Niven are moving over to the Blue brand. That's cool. Like I said earlier, DIY with Candice and Indy are also going to SmackDown. I think that's a great move for DIY because they keep getting these title opportunities on Monday Night Raw, and they're just not winning.
Yeah, I think this is going to be perfect for them. Hopefully this leads to the way, and I think it would be a heel way because I think you have the two women already on that heel side or very, very close to a full heel turn. because they've been really hinting at. I'm not even going to say hinting at it. They've been showing that they are turning into heels.
Yeah.
And we just saw Tommaso Ciampa turn his back on Gargano after a match.
Well, it's mainly Ciampa and Candice and Indy that are on the heel side. Johnny's
Yeah.
not there yet.
And I think Johnny should follow suit because they're missing something. They are right there. They've been on the cusp of getting over, and I think the fans are starting to feel it too. Because DIY, especially, I think it was this Raw, DIY versus Awesome Truth was a fantastic match. Very entertaining, and I was actually glued to the television screen on that match.
That says a lot for you.
Mm-hmm.
May 25th, Tino is saying is when King and Queen of the Ring is going to be. I also believe that is the same day as the Oh My Glob show. Don't quote me on that. I probably should know the date, so follow at Wrestlers Lab. That way they can get it right. Vogus says that my Mandy impression is better than my Chelsea Green. No, you don't want it.
Come on, do it.
Mandy. I hope you all
violated. I felt so violated.
I was ASMR in your ears, son. In your ears. Kind. Yeah, let's bring us back here. Is it a hot take to say R-Truth is generational?
I don't think it's a hot take at all. He is the best comedic wrestler of all time.
Oh, hold on. A legend has stopped by in the OTM universe. SCW Steve is in the house. We don't get to see him live often. I know he's a busy man. He's a father, and it's very late where he's at. But respect you stopping by, my friend. Good to see you. He's always commenting, though. He's always rewatching at a later time. Eric said, I've said it before. I don't understand the draft. Literally the next day after the draft, there's Chelsea Green on a brand she's not drafted to. Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's a good point. Kind says Kyle's ASMR at 1:26 a.m. Hits like crack. And yes, credit to Ryan Vogus for teeing up that moment there. It seems like everybody's loving my Mandy impersonation, but I
just realized something. We are at that 1 hour when we usually have those really long shows that go like an hour and a half. We're at that 1 hour 15 about unhinged right now, and I love it.
Not every episode's gonna be tight and organized, people. Sometimes you
just like the draft.
Yeah, because the draft stinks. But no, SmackDown gets Nia Jax. I like that. I think Nia is gonna represent the Blue brand well. Andrade, another person that signed a contract a couple weeks ago with Raw. Now he's going over to SmackDown. I'm assuming it's to be with his wife, Charlotte.
Yeah. I don't like what they're doing with Andrade at all. I'm so confused on what I should do when he's on the television. He comes out as a heel, but he just saved Rey Mysterio.
He's a face.
I don't get it.
Heel.
He's got this skull mask and he comes out like a badass. What do you mean he's not a face or he's a face? I don't get it. I don't get Andrade at all.
Usually at a time like this, I would say just give it time, but there has been some time.
That's the thing. That was
SmackDown's what he needs.
I'd agree. Yeah, if Charlotte came back, because I think she is very close to being back, but I don't know. I'm confused with Andrade.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Chris says I'm a father of 3, and he shows up. This is true.
No, you don't.
He could be being a great father right now and hanging out with his kids, but the man just recorded a show and then he's watching us. But maybe he's got the kids on him while he's watching, doing double duty. He also says heel Andrade versus Cody. Now that's something.
Yeah, that's something, but he's not a heel, apparently. That's
also true.
That's my thing. I hate it.
And kind of agrees with you. He said he's presented like a heel, but he's face.
Yeah.
All right. Steve asked, do you think we might get any trades before Monday after events at Backlash? I wouldn't be surprised, especially if titles change, you know.
Did they say trades are on, like that is a thing? They can make trades now after?
I don't think they said it, but you know WWE, they can do whatever they want.
Right. Yeah. I would like the idea of trading champ for champ. I think that would be a cool concept. I don't think at this point right now, though, I think the champs they're locked into their brand because they have storylines going with it.
Yeah, and let's not forget the biggest name of them all making their move to SmackDown. Giovanni Vinci is going over to the Blue brand, and unfortunately, I think that's just going to lead to him being a part of the cuts next year because he's not a part of Imperium anymore. We saw Ludwig Kaiser turn on him a couple weeks ago. Now he's on his own, and I'm worried about the guy.
I'm not going to lie. I did not see that draft. I
Yeah,
didn't
it might
see
have
when he
been
got
after
drafted.
they went off. They did a lot offline too.
That's disappointing because I was invested on seeing what Vinci could do against Gunther.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
was a
and
story.
Kaiser. Yeah,
That's confusing to me. Why would you do that? You wasted that opportunity for a good blow off, even if that means putting Gunther over more, then killing Vinci. I don't care. I want to see more of that.
yeah. No, I don't disagree with you. And then the last name I had on this sheet, Tegan Nox, is moving on over to SmackDown. Tegan Nox is another one of those girls that I think would be a perfect candidate for a mid card title. But once again, we don't have that quite yet. But we do have it in NXT. Kind says Vinci cut means I have a chance with Tiffany Stratton, right? Well, Ludwig Kaiser's the one that's dating Tiffany Stratton, so no.
Still no.
It's Tiffy time in Ludwig's world all the time. Let's be fair, though. It's Tiffy time right now, isn't it?
Pretty sure.
It's also Tino's time.
That's also true.
We got a lot of times going on. Yeah, see, even Kind knows he fucked up. Nice botch there in the comment section there, Kind. But
way to own it.
Any final remarks about the WWE draft?
I think Raw has its hands full with all the factions. I'm confused on what they're going to do with it. I mean, if they're going to break up every single faction that they've been riding the coattails off of for the past 2 years now, we saw the writing on the wall of Judgment Day.
Yeah,
I don't know. They got to prove that this draft actually meant something.
Yeah, I think Raw definitely came out the bigger winner here, just because there's more fresh faces, more exciting matchups that can come out of it. But at the end of the day, I still think it's going to be a good, entertaining product, and we're going to forget about the WWE draft in a couple weeks.
Like we always do every single year.
This is true. What is this new backdrop? It's Backlash. I always put the pay-per-view behind us, Kind. You should notice that. You've been around for a while. I always switch it like that. Any other comments worth pulling up? No, we're going to move on. Let's move on to WWE Backlash. We're going to start off here with a tag team matchup between Kevin Owens and Randy Orton to take on the Bloodline, which is Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. The PLE champion is Ryan Vogus, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
He can't go first here. So, Ian, I'll let you go first here with this one. Obviously, Kevin Owens and Randy Orton have kind of developed this friendship over the past couple months, but this is Tama Tonga's debut match here in WWE.
Yeah, I think the writing's on the wall. Let's solidify this new bloodline. And, I mean, you always have the option of turning Randy heel. However, I don't know how much time he has left. Even Kevin Owens, I don't know how much time he has left in the ring. I'm going to go with Kevin Owens and Tama Tonga, though. Solidify them as...
Wait, Kevin Owens and Tama Tonga aren't teaming.
Solo Sikoa. Yeah. No, double heel turn. Yeah, I think they need to solidify this new era of the Bloodline, and eventually, as we were talking about before, lead to that civil war with the Bloodline.
Yeah, and like the comment section's already doing, feel free to leave your predictions as well in the comment section. Right now, we don't have a predictions contest available, but I'm assuming Tuck's very busy. He might get to it. We'll let you know, so make sure you're following us on all of our socials at Pot on the Mark. But Eric Douglas is in agreement with you. He's going with the Bloodline. Kind's going with the Bloodline as well. And Steve asks a very intriguing question that I want to bring up because I'm thinking yes to his question. And he asked, does Jacob Fatu debut here? I think that's the perfect opportunity. We saw a couple weeks ago that there were rumors that he had already signed with the WWE. They showed Tama Tonga about 3 weeks ago. I think it's now time to introduce that new wrinkle, and that's probably a good way for Kevin and Randy to lose this matchup is by interference of Jacob Fatu. The Bloodline gets even bigger. And then whenever Jimmy Uso comes back and when Roman Reigns comes back, that's when we can get to that bloodline warfare and lead to war games. But that's far down the road. I mean, I think it's pretty simple. The bloodline needs to look strong. Tama Tonga's not losing his first matchup in the WWE. Give those guys the win. I also have the bloodline winning this matchup. But we have a lot of comments rolling in. This one popped
That's the one I laughed at.
Do we all have a stiffy for Tiffy? No comment. No comment. Yes, Ian did have a botch, so now we're at 1 botch for Ian, 1 botch for Kine. I'm sure I will mess up some words too, so you can add 1 to my counter. Chris says, KO joining the bloodline. Bold prediction.
What?
But
How?
why? I can't tell if he's...
Dad, please explain that one to me. I don't get that one.
Kine says, I think Fatu should debut in America. He'd be more known and get a better pop. or would I be wrong? Let's not forget, Solo Sikoa debuted at Clash at the Castle.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some continuity there. I mean, I don't think the American audience is even, or at least the WWE audience, is really going to know who Jacob Fatu is. Small percentage.
I mean, it was kind of like with Solo Sikoa when he first debuted. It was kind of a, who is this guy? I think Tama Tonga, his time in New Japan really solidified him. So that one got the pop it deserved just through his time over the years. He's an old dude, old boy. It's been he's a veteran. So Jacob Fatu, I think he's relatively young, correct?
I don't know. Somebody in the comment section will tell us though.
Yeah, good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, comment section. Get on that. Find out how old Jacob Fatu is. But nonetheless, we are all going with the Bloodline to pick up the victory here at Backlash. And we go from one tag team match to another. This one for those women's tag team titles. It's the Kabuki Warriors taking on Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Kabuki Warriors have gotten a decent reign as tag team champions, but with their move to Monday Night Raw, I think they're going to want to keep those tag team titles on SmackDown. And who better to give those to than Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair? Absolute superheroes there on the other side. Like I said, Kabuki Warriors, solid reign, no complaints, but I think this one's inevitable. It is Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair that are going to walk away with those tag team titles, Ian.
Yeah, everything you said. And I mean, we're going to be moving on to Raw with probably a downfall of Damage Control. As I talked about, there's a lot of factions that could probably have some cracks in that. Said Jacob Fatu is 26. That's young. That's a new era of WWE at that point.
That gets me more excited, Ian, knowing that he's that young and what he can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's getting brought into...
We've seen him in GCW, haven't we?
Most likely. Yeah. Most likely. We saw him during one of some match we were watching at your house. But, this is giving the spotlight to Jade and Bianca. I mean, mainly Jade. We want to see a title around Jade's waist, and I think this is perfect.
Start with the tag team title.
Exactly. And SmackDown on Fox, it's going to get the most eyes. Everybody's going to be seeing Jade with the title. Brings in more viewers. Jade and Bianca, new champs.
Yeah, and Kind says the Aura tag team are winning this. It's over for Kabuki. I almost said Kubaki. God damn it.
Saw him today. Today. Yeah, the baseball.
You guys don't know who Kubaki is. He's my former co-host of another podcast, but that podcast is dead.
DED.
Eric says, I love Solo, but he's got to be the least convincing enforcer ever. I disagree. Ooh. I think Solo is very convincing out there. What do you think, Ian? He's a scary dude. The fact he does not talk, that's terrifying. Especially when he first came in. I remember seeing, who was, I'm going to get absolutely thrashed for this, but I am a new wrestling fan. Who did the thumb first? The thumb to the throat. Umaga. Thank you. I remember watching old highlights of wrestling, and Umaga, that move always terrified me. That was the one I'm like, oh, God, that looks nasty. I think he does a wonderful job as an enforcer. I do, too. Steve says Bianca and Jade to win. Keep those titles till Mania season next year. Ooh. Bianca versus Jade at WrestleMania 41. I'm going to counter with they hold it until a couple weeks before SummerSlam or a month before SummerSlam, and we do Jade versus Bianca there. I feel like holding those tag team titles for that long would get pretty stale, Ian. I agree. I think hopefully we're not going to go too deep into the whole 4-year reigns for titles or 2-year reigns for titles. I think Triple H made his mark by doing that with the long title reigns. I'm hoping we don't get to that point anymore, especially with all the women's tag teams we have now. Yeah. There's established tag teams there. Exactly. Sure. I don't know who to believe. Temple says Jacob Fatu is 32 years old. And you're about to know who he is because his MLW run was perfection. So he's either 32 or 26. Kyne's quoting you said, that gets me excited, Ian, knowing he's that young. Pause. Oh, it's what I said. Never mind. Jacob is 32. We are confirmed. Jacob Fatu is 32. Still young. Very. Incredibly young. Thank you. Because I'm 30. About to be old. 31 here in like a month. Umaga did it first. I was right. God. Say Umaga in the Regal voice. Damn it. No, I can't do it. Don't put me on the spot. Too many impressions. Too many. Carl Anderson joins the new Bloodline. Bold prediction, but it ties Carl's relationship with Tama Tonga. I don't hate that. I don't hate it, Temple. Again,
not a lot of people are going to understand that. That's a New Japan tie.
It's a deep pool.
That's the only thing. I would understand it because I loved what the Bullet Club was, but not a lot of people are going to understand that, especially the normal WWE fan.
Yeah, and I think that's why Kine said, "What the fuck?" He probably doesn't know the history there.
It makes sense. I love it. I don't know what they're even doing with the. What are they?
It was actually Tonga Kid, Jacob's dad, that did the thumb to the throat move first. So thanks for the correction there, Temple. Our local historian there in the chat. Like I said, I've been watching since 2011, so anything before that, I'm going to botch. Ian has only been watching since, 2017? Was that
2017? Which is a long time.
No, that's not that long at all. You're still learning the business.
It's almost 8 years, brother.
Oh, no.
Damn, let's put time into perspective there.
When do you guys think Julia debuts in NXT? I was hoping for it to be in that NXT, what's the title called? The mid-card title. Why am I blanking? North American Women's Championship ladder match, but I don't think we're going to get that. But we did see Mia Yim show up in NXT, which again goes back to the draft where she's on the main roster and now she's in NXT. It makes no sense. I'm just rambling at this point. 2017, damn, what the fuck? I've been watching longer than the both of you, and I'm 19. That is crazy. I don't think that math checks out. I said 2011 for me, Kine. That would be 13 years. You've been watching since you were 6? If so, then you are right. But let's move on here to the next matchup. It is Tiffy time, as she's going to get her second title opportunity, I think, at the Women's Championship, taking on, of course, the champion Bayley and the Glow herself, Naomi. I'm very excited for this one, Ian, but it does seem pretty predictable. But nonetheless, Tiffy time is going to be arriving in France, and I'm very excited to see what she's capable of doing.
Yeah, and a lot of people would say a lot of people are going to want Tiffany Stratton to win this, but it's a new title for Bayley, the new Bayley that we've been seeing. Bayley really doesn't get that much time on TV, which is still shocking to me. So I think this is writing on the wall for Bayley to retain. Let's keep her character going, see how long this title could go for until wheels fall flat or Tiffany Stratton's star just rises that much that you're forced to put the title on her.
And I think it's coming. It's definitely going to happen this year. I see a lot of people are saying she could be Miss Money in the Bank. Do you think that she's probably a favorite for that?
Sign me up.
Pink briefcase?
Sign me up for that, yes. No, it's got Gucci print on it.
Yeah.
Or the coach purse.
She should get like a poodle and everything too. Just commit to like Legally Blonde gimmick or something like that.
Put like a chain on it so it's like a handbag. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Now we're thinking like a little purse. Yeah. There we go. Kine's been watching since 2008, so yeah, I guess he does beat me there. I like Steve's idea. He said debut should be NXT Heatwave for Julia, and your father has been watching since 1998, which is before you were born.
Yeah, he's old.
Yeah. he is old. Steve singing in the comments, "Hey Bayley." Yeah, the pick is Bayley here. It's way too soon to take the strap off of her. You know, she just got her moment at WrestleMania, so I think she's definitely going to hold that to maybe around SummerSlam. Then you can have that conversation for Tiffany Stratton. But it's definitely just going to be Tiffy time here, getting her the showcase once again. I'm assuming Naomi's going to eat the pinfall here. Would you agree?
Yeah, it gives a reason for Tiffany to say, I never lost my opportunity. That whole spiel we've seen many, many times before.
Yeah, and Tino says Bayley walking on as champion, Tiffy time, but it's not her time. Absolutely. And Chris, you're right. You're not 30. You are not as old as I am, so
old.
You got that going for you, I guess. But we both are going with Bayley to retain her women's championship, which then takes us to only 2 more matches, Ian. Only 5 matches on the card. It seems that they keep the card small for these international shows, which I like. I think it flows very well. This one's interesting. The build's been okay. Their segment was awkward on Monday Night Raw. I did not like the back and forth. I haven't really been sold quite yet on Damian Priest as champion. How do you feel about his... And granted, this is very early in the run. These are initial thoughts. How are you feeling?
If I'm being honest, it feels like we need to use this Money in the Bank briefcase for a pop because we're not going to waste it and get made fun of for wasting another Money in the Bank. That's what it felt like. And they got an incredible pop. Priest won the championship. But, I mean, just in the long run, this would be so much better with Drew McIntyre with that title.
We're going to get there. I think there's just a stopgap to get to Drew and Punk once Punk is back. And then we're going to go with that because they've been doing a great job at keeping that feud hot. That might be the hottest feud in the WWE, and one of the guys isn't even active. That says a lot.
Yeah, I don't think it's debatable.
Temple was born in 93, just like me. See, the greats were born in 93. I knew I liked this guy. But yeah, going off this match, though, it's kind of the same thought process as Bayley for me. But Ian, I'll let you go first here. Is there any shot that Jey Uso actually walks out champion?
Absolutely. I think this is the one title where you can't go wrong either way because they're on the same brand. Damian Priest, the only thing I like about this title that he has, it's feeding his ego, which is inevitably going to lead to Judgment Day breaking up. And I think he's selling it well. He's doing the backstage promos well. This feud kind of is like meh, but each of them are hot in their own right with the crowd. At some point, this Jey Uso train is going to fall flat. It's not showing any.
It already has with your father, mid-card Jey Uso.
A lot of people are calling him that. So I don't know. Again, this is one of those where you have to strike while the iron is hot. And now that we move past the whole long title reigns, it doesn't hurt for Damian Priest to lose it on an off night. Give it to Jey Uso. Get a moment. I'm going to go with new champ Jey Uso.
To be fair, the card seems face value very predictable. So I do think a surprise might be in the works. And if there was any match, I would not hate a Jey Uso win because he's another guy similar to Priest where you could take that title off him the next night. And it's like, okay, that was cool.
Yep.
So we'll see, though. A couple more comments before I get into my pick. I did see this in the interview that Chris Van Fleet had with Tiffany Stratton. She said her character is a mixture of Sharpay Evans from High School Musical and Paris Hilton. And that makes a lot of sense. It comes across on the TV for sure. Kine says, rise for the Judgment Day. Damian's taking the win. Greatest Money in the Bank cash-in of all time. Hold up.
Okay. All right. Let's relax.
It's top three. It's top three for me, but I don't think anything's going to top Seth Rollins. It's in the middle of the match.
Absolutely. Your profile picture is CM Punk. The reason that was as good as it was because CM Punk showed that he's not injured anymore or to the point he could swing something. That's why it was great. All right. Let's relax, Kine. We've been on a good run together. So.
Priest wins, holds it to Clash, says Eric. Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with him. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm going to have Priest retaining, even though I'm actually hoping that Jey Uso wins just for that surprise factor, like you said. I know there was a comment up here a little bit ago, but I'm not going to be able to get to it. But somebody asked me if I'm an OG Bullet Club guy. I wasn't watching Bullet Club. Never really have watched New Japan, so I've known about Bullet Club. I know the history of Bullet Club, but I'm not a day one.
You know Bullet Club America. Like there were basically two teams, Bullet Club, which we see at AEW now, and New Japan Bullet Club. That's probably where there's some, because Tama Tonga really never went to the U.S. under the Bullet Club moniker. Basically, he's always been in New Japan.
Yeah, and Steve says Priest to win, Jey Uso to be costed by the Bloodline. This is where the Bloodline Civil War begins. And it makes sense because they're all in the same building. It's a combined show. I could see it.
I could see it. And I don't hate it because I think it's starting to fall flat for Jey Uso on Raw. Yeah, I could see that. I could see it. That's a good way of thinking out of the box.
For sure. Eric has a question for you. What do you do with Priest then if he were to lose? It's a good question.
You have an entire faction. You could feed into that whole, hey, your ego got the best of you. You lost on your off night. I mean, he could lose the title with Judgment Day coming out and costing Priest for the title. So I think there's many ways of doing it. It just depends on how he would lose that title. If he lost it straight up, then I could see why you're asking that question. But again, you have Raws to talk about it in backstage promos. And I don't think it kills him at all. I think he's still the leader of Judgment Day.
And we also saw on Monday Night Raw, Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio were coming out of a room together in an interview. So, I mean, maybe that's something where Priest can try to reel Dom back in. Hey, Mommy wouldn't like that. Mm-hmm. Mommy wouldn't like that. And he also asked, what was on your neck? I think Dom had some hickeys on his neck on Monday Night Raw. So, good for him, I guess. But Kine's got a fair question here. Maybe this is where Fatu debuts. He takes Jey out.
I don't hate it. So, actually, yeah, because I think when Roman Reigns inevitably returns, I don't know if it's within this year, to be honest, the Bloodline Civil War is going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen.
War Games.
He's going to be a face. Roman Reigns will be one of the biggest faces in WWE, especially after that documentary. And I think Jey Uso being along with that Bloodline Civil War, reuniting with his brother, his family, that's gold written all over it. So yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, me too. Lisa says she would like to see Jey Uso win. Okay, there's another yeet in the comment section right there. Guy says Dom's winning in life. Got mommy and Liv, living the dream of a Mark, and he's married in real life too. So he's got all kinds of women around him. Good for him. I don't need to pull up any of the other comments. We still got one more match to get to here. I'm assuming it's going to be the main event. It's a match I'm very excited for. Obviously, I'm wearing my American Nightmare t-shirt as we speak. The American Nightmare himself, the undisputed WWE World Champion, takes on the phenomenal AJ Styles. And now, AJ's really rebuilt himself. You know, he's looking a lot more jacked. He's physically imposing. He's got this dark character with a new theme song.
Oh,
yeah.
The theme's so good.
I like it. We shit on Def Rebel, but this one's solid.
It's good. I pointed out at WrestleMania when he came out to it. Oh, huge fan.
Yeah, that's one of the few good ones. And by few,
very
I mean
few. Very.
One. Just one. Nonetheless, though, any chance you see Cody Rhodes losing this title?
I don't think so. Again, another one where it's kind of in that same role of, I guess, like a Sheamus, or when we were talking about Drew McIntyre when he came back, reinvented himself, came out of the dark times of WWE in the Thunderdome. What do you do now with him? I think AJ Styles falls in that, but he's also probably in his last leg of his career. He's going to make one last run, and I don't know where he goes with it, but hopefully this leads to a good path for AJ Styles down the road, but I don't think this is going to be a Cody loss this time.
No, there's no chance. The comment section's saying it as well. I don't hate Eric's idea, even though we are predicting a lot of turns here. In the comment section, he said the Good Brothers screwing AJ over. Could be something. Yeah. You know, I don't know where they're at on brand-wise. They've been hanging out in NXT. Steve says an amazing match, but only one winner. Cody Rhodes. Cody is winning. Well played, my friend. But yeah, Cody's going to win this match, and it's not a bad thing that this is super predictable. You have to give people a reason to want to tune in, and like if you gave Cody Rhodes, I don't know, try to think of a mid-card guy that you couldn't even buy into, like Braun Strowman or something like that right now. This, at least, we know it's going to be a fantastic match. There's probably going to be some good near falls here. They're going to make us believe that AJ has a chance, but at the end of the day, Cody's going to be holding that belt for a while, and don't be surprised if Cody held it to next year's WrestleMania, because who would take it off of him other than The Rock? I can't think of anyone.
I mean, we got promised a match between The Rock and Cody Rhodes. I think that is next year's WrestleMania main event.
Or
I think it's as simple as that. I don't think they waste it. I think that is a WrestleMania match written all over it.
Probably. I mean, you're probably right. Think we will get another Wyatt / Uncle Howdy tease?
I was going to bring this up. Reportedly, I'm not going to confirm anything. Reportedly, Eric Rowan was signed, or Eric Redbeard. It is confirmed. He has been signed by WWE. So good. I'm very happy for him, because that's why I was confused about the Braun Strowman return. I would imagine he's going to be with the Wyatt Six. Maybe we see that. Maybe he's the one that brings it out, and he turns heel. That's when the rest of the Wyatt Six come through. So I'm excited for that. I am very excited.
I am too. And Joe Casey even apparently tweeted out some hints. Matt Hardy's been flirting with the internet wrestling community. I don't think there's any legs to the Matt Hardy stuff. I think he's just capitalizing on the buzz right now, which good for him. He is the forbidden door right now, as he, I believe, is participating in TNA. But yeah, nonetheless, Cody Rhodes is going to walk away as the undisputed champion after it is all said and done. I am going to go to the comment section because it seems like we got a few trickling in before we get to the MVM. Chris says that he's disappointed no LA Knight on the card. I am too. That's a big name to leave off.
Yeah, again, I'm hoping there's something more for LA Knight besides just his face on the Slim Jim rapping. Because it's getting to that point where maybe they really didn't want to strike while the iron was hot with LA Knight. I mean, again, we keep talking about it with SummerSlam. Maybe it leads to Logan Paul and LA Knight, but that's the only way I could see it going.
I think that's the only direction it can go. I agree,
Yeah.
100%. That is probably that's why Logan Paul's not on this card. They're keeping him on the back burner until they want to heat up the LA Knight and Logan Paul feud. So, yeah, I am a little disappointed, but hey, it's a 5-match card, so it's hard to get on there. Braun only won the Universal Championship because Roman didn't want to show up early in the pandemic. Yep, I knew that. We saw that in a couple documentaries, I believe. Kind says that the code from the QR code has initials of Gacy, Rowan, Bliss, and Howdy, and 2 others, and a 5 and a 1. I've seen Nikki Cross's name being thrown into there as well. If this is the Wyatt 6, I think this has potential.
I don't mind 2 women in this faction, especially with the tag titles. I think the tag titles, like we talked about, the women's tag division is getting solid. Like, they have some solidified tag teams. This would just add to it.
Yeah, 100%. Eric says he dethrones Logan at SummerSlam, so yeah, we're on the same page there. Yeah. Kind's going to say that Iron's still hot for LA Knight, though. Only forward is him versus Logan at SummerSlam. And Steve says, I mentioned a potential trade earlier. Jey Uso to SmackDown for LA Knight to Raw. Bold, but I'm going to predict it. I think that's a win-win because then Jey Uso goes right back into the Bloodline story.
And you have LA Knight more time to talk on the mic. You have 3 hours instead of 2 hours. Yeah.
Give that man the mic. We love LA Knight over here, but we also love Joe Henry. We believe in that guy. But here we are, that time of the show where we award the MVM of OTM. And let me tell you, Ian, the comment section kind of cooled down the past month, but it was red hot tonight. A very tough decision on our hands.
It was, and we've been debating in our private chat for a little bit here, and I think we have come to a conclusion. Would you like to make the announcement, or would you like me to?
I do want to get to this comment though, really quick before we do the announcement. I forgot that Bliss and Cross have a relationship too. They won tag team gold together.
That's true.
So, makes a lot of sense. And Eric, I know you're a big Liv fan, but Liv in that faction.
No.
I know she's apparently dating or married to Bo Dallas. I don't keep up with relationships like that, so that's the only connection there. But Nikki makes a lot more sense than Liv Morgan, at least in my opinion. The Roman thing reminds me of when Heyman said to JBL, he's only champion because Triple H doesn't want to work Tuesdays.
I don't want to work on Tuesdays.
Fair enough. But Ian, I will give you the honors. Why don't you tell the people who the MVM is going to be this week?
After a long episode, and again, we appreciate everybody for commenting. This was a very fun episode, and this hour flew by, so thank you all. It has been a few weeks of a little bit of a decline in comments, but this week has popped off, popping large. Yes, Gags?
I was going to say, I'm going to ask, because, we got a lot of people watching live right now. Is the AEW talk you guys don't want to talk about? Is that why you guys aren't tuning in? Because if so, give us feedback. We won't talk as much AEW if that's the case, but
I'll start my own solo show to talk about AEW or something. We could do that.
Maybe. No, we will always do AEW predictions. Yeah. I'm going to promise you that.
Alrighty. So after careful consideration, in round 8, and new MVM of the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, it is a returning champ of one of the greatest MVMs of all time.
One of.
Kine. Welcome back, Kine.
And I tell you what, we've had a lot of shows where I sit here and I contemplate, and I was contemplating multiple names here. And like you said, we appreciate every single one of you that tuned in live. You gave us a lot to interact with, which was a predictable Backlash card, but nonetheless should be a good show. Congrats to Kine for once again grabbing that MVM title and making it his. And look at that. Gracious competitors here in the comments section. Just congratulating the man right there. Just overflooding with congratulations right there. Oh, hey, hold on. He's got a statement. Damn, Ian acknowledged me as one of the MVM GOATs, my legend.
Oh, I was supposed to say, I thought that was going down
up to you again.
Yeah, hey, back to that. That's all right. Kine, good job today.
Kine, you did great. And he said thank you. No, thank you, Kine, and thank you everybody else for
now go to bed.
In. Like I said, please get some sleep. Ian, any final remarks before we sign off?
I just want to point out, Tony Khan, please shut up because you guys are doing something great over there. All right, AEW, good job. WWE, we're going to see with this. I mean, this is the new start of the Triple H era. I think this is the definitive rebrands, move on. I think this pay-per-view might surprise us with a few things. I'm hoping there's a title change. Jey Uso, please. But I got nothing more to add. Again, wrestling's a great time. I'm glad we're all here to talk about it and watch it.
Me too. I think Chris is comparing himself to Kurt Hawkins in the comment section. One of these
He's got
days,
kids.
Oh yeah, that's true. So does Heath Slater. If you don't remember that gimmick that he had. But don't forget, guys. Later this month, the Main Event Wrestling Network is sponsoring at Wrestlers Lab the Oh My Glob show that they're going to be doing. More information to come on that. And of course, don't forget to follow the Main Event Wrestling Network on all socials at mainevent_net. Go to the On The Mark Wrestling Podcast.com this week/weekend. Use promo code Backlash and you will save 10% off your order. Always a good time, Ian, and we will talk to you guys next time. And thank you for listening to the On The Mark Wrestling Podcast.